Harvard University have appointed an atheist chaplain. Now, if you don't know what a chaplain is an official position at the institution that deals with one's spiritual needs.
The spiritual needs of atheists?
So I, as an atheist, I'm going to be taking umbrage with this because I just don't like the tone of it. I don't like the aesthetic of it. This feels very much to me like the skin suit in action. Oh, yes, I will take on the trappings of religion, although beneath it, I am, of course, an atheist. And I'm a big despiser of the skin suit. I hate it. I like things to be essentially true, be the thing that they are. And an atheist wearing a religious skin suit is gross to me. Again, on an aesthetic level. And that's where we're going to be criticizing this from. Well, I'm going to be criticizing from. But anyway, so as reported by the New York Post, Harvard University's Organization of Chaplains is getting a new president to coordinate the campus's Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist, and other assorted religious communities. Only the new president, 44-year-old Greg Epstein, does not identify with any of those traditional religions himself. He is an atheist. So you'd think it would be inappropriate for him to be the chaplain or head chaplain of anywhere.
I would have thought impossible rather than inappropriate.
Yes, impossible would have been another sensible way of framing this. But even if it is possible, maybe you shouldn't do it. For example, if for some reason Hollywood studios came to me and said, Carl, we think you're brilliant. Would you like to play Martin Luther King in a movie?
Yes, I would.
Exactly. It would
but
just
do it just to make fun of the whole thing.
Maybe I would, but it would not be surprising when people said, well, that's not appropriate, is it? You know?
I look forward to my role as George Floyd.
Exactly. It would be inappropriate because of what I essentially am, in the same way that it is inappropriate for an atheist to say that they can be a chaplain. So this Mr. Greg Epstein says, despite his disbelief in any higher power, Harvard chaplains felt Epstein, the author of a book called Good Without God, What a Billion Non-Religious People Do Believe, we'll be talking about this in a minute, was a good choice for the position due to young people's increasing lack of religiosity. Because young people don't believe in God, we should get an atheist to be the chaplain. I think that's going to be bringing back the numbers to the congregations. I mean, again, I'm an atheist, so I don't really care, but it's just so silly.
I mean, it's like the Church of England looking at the landscape of British religion and saying that the fastest growing religion in the UK is Islam.
Therefore, we should convert.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's literally what this is. It's ridiculous. And it's just a sign of the civilizational malaise that we've been placed under. Again, if you can't even proselytize your own religion, it's not surprising that you're like, yeah, okay, well, let's just go with the atheist chaplain. That makes sense. Anyway, they say there is a rising group of people who no longer identify with any religious tradition, but still experience a real need for conversation and support around what it means to be a good human and live an ethical life, said Epstein, who grew up in a Jewish home. The New York Times published an interview on Thursday. We don't look to a God for answers. We are each other's answers. I mean, I don't even disagree with him on the we are each other's answers. I do think that meaning and to live a good human and ethical life is found in our relationships with one another. But that doesn't mean that I should become the chaplain of Harvard University, the head chaplain. But I hate this because what he's promoting, and not because he's promoting a secular humanist view, but the problem is I don't think it should be a religion. And if it is a religion, viewed as a religion, then how exactly do we distinguish secular humanism from the rest of the Enlightenment anyway? And how is it not that can easily be pathologized as simply being religious feeling? Right? If there's no particular distinction between secularism, humanism, and religion, then how do we distinguish the rest of the Enlightenment from it anyway? And there was another part I wanted to add on that, but I can't remember it now. But this was probably a long time coming, to be honest. Anyway.
Did he say he was raised in a Jewish household? So was he raised in a religious Jewish household, or is he just ethnically Jewish? What's going on with that?
They don't say.
Okay.
But I'm guessing that it would have been religiously Jewish. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been worth mentioning, really. But it seems that he has no problem masquerading as a religious person, even though he shouldn't consider himself to be religious. It's just so bizarre. Anyway, Harvard's liberal values and desire to prioritize engagement over tradition make Epstein a great fit for the job, many insiders feel. Indeed, his election was unanimous. Maybe in a more conservative university climate, there might have been a question like, what the heck are they doing at Harvard, having a humanist be the president instead of the chaplains? Says Margaret Hammerstrom, Harvard's Harvard's Christian Science chaplain, told the Times. But in this environment, it works. Greg is known for wanting to keep lines of communication open between different faiths. Greg's leadership isn't about theology, says one 20-year-old electrical engineering student. It's about cooperation between people of different faiths and bringing people together who don't normally consider themselves religious. The chaplain. It's just stupid.
It's the interfaith leader.
It's ridiculous.
I love it because he's not just being the face of like Christianity.
No.
He's the face of bringing people of faith together.
He's the face of non-religion.
Yeah.
It's just, like, again, I'm not religious. I don't think I have any desire for a religious world order. I just hate the kind of, just the backwardsness of it. It's like the Pope saying, oh yeah, actually God's fine with gays and gay marriage. Well, not according to your Bible, he's not. You know, and again, I'm fine with gays and gay marriage, but I'm not a Catholic. You know, I just think that things need to be authentically what they are. And these kind of, you know, fakery sort of skin suit parades are just gross. I really hate them. But obviously, anyway, going on to the next one. This is, of course, a milestone of inclusion. That's the framing, right? So, yeah. It's a milestone of inclusion, said Epstein, who started as the school's humanist chaplain in 2005. Why would you need a humanist chaplain?
For the new religion.
Exactly. It's a religion, and that's exactly the point, isn't it? You know, and the thing is as well, this is what I was going to say, I forgot. The whole thing about humanism and, you know, the Enlightenment, the moral structures of the Enlightenment, right? The new atheists were wrong. These were not just created out of whole cloth. They came out of a particular moral environment that is predicated on Christian assumptions. They are deeply Christian assumptions. And so essentially to say, well, we're not religious, but we're going to act like we're religious and we're going to appoint chaplains like we're religious is just saying, well, look, you're just the newest branch of Christianity. You know, just admit it. Just own it. Just own it. It's fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with being a Christian. The Christians are actually pretty good moral people. You know, I just happen to be a non-believer myself, but I don't begrudge any of the moral teachings of Jesus. They're perfectly fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with them. There are far worse moral teachings out there from various other Abrahamic faiths. So, you know, you could do a lot worse than following the teachings of Jesus, probably because of the Greek influence on Christianity. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, but just pretending, oh, I'm an atheist and a humanist. No, you're a Christian who doesn't want to go to church. That's what you are. And that's fine, you know, but just...
We usually call that Church of England, but...
We do call that Church of England, but just don't stop pretending. It is a fiction, in my opinion. But anyway... Milestone of inclusion. That's the important thing. One colleague applauded his selection. Well, I mean, he's unanimously elected, so yeah, they would. It's great to have someone who is coming from a really non-traditional background, says Reverend Adam Lawrence Dyer, a Unitarian Universalist who is the chaplain's head of diversity and inclusion and belonging.
Right. There is a reverend in charge of the diversity department.
Social justice.
Yeah.
That's what's done this, right? Especially as this is an institution that has a lot of traditions. Oh, good. Yeah, this traditional institution, we need someone who's non-traditional. That's right, I'm a Christian. You know, just bring in the atheists. It's just ridiculous, right? So anyway, he says, another one says, he's a very good conduit to all the different faiths. Weird religious pluralism going on. Do you not want people coming to your faith? Do you not think that the religions that do want people going to their faith are going to win in the competition of those people who are trying to recruit people and those people who are not trying to recruit people? Anyway, the thing is as well, like, he's doubtless a lovely guy. Like all the character witnesses we're getting here, I'm sure he's a lovely guy. I'm sure he's a really nice guy. Maybe he could just have some sort of, what's the word? You know, where it's just an advisor or a mentor or something like that for students. You know, why give him the religious office when he could just be, you know, a guidance counselor or something?
We could just call him chief of wokeism. It would be easier.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like,
the head of diversity and inclusion, and well, you know, the reverend's already got that position, so
exactly. But at least we're fully maturing social justice and atheism and enlightenment view as just being another religion, just a sect of Christianity. Anyway, so so of course this aligns with an uptick in irreligion in the US and Harvard across the past several decades. A Gallup poll in March found that 21% of Americans, up from just 8% in 2000, do not identify with any religion, and millennials in particular are turning away from it in increasing numbers. Well, that's not true. They're turning to the organized religion of social justice, as evidenced by the fact that they are literally electing these people to preside over religions. It's a religion. Anyway, moving on to the next one. This is interesting because the New York Times point out it was the Puritan colonists who settled in New England in the 1630s who had a nagging concern about the churches they were building. How would they ensure the clergymen would be literate? And their answer was Harvard University. So they created Harvard University in order to educate priests, and now atheists are presiding over the religious life of the university. Isn't that interesting?
I never knew that.
Their motto was truth for Christ and the church. I bet that just doesn't even weigh heavy on Greg Epstein's tongue when he says it either. Anyway, Greg was the first choice of a committee that was made up of a Lutheran, a Christian Scientist, an evangelical Christian, and a Baha'i, says the Reverend Kathleen Reed, a Lutheran chaplain who was on the nominating committee, chaired it. We're presenting to the university a vision of how the world could work when diverse traditions focus on how to be good humans and neighbors. Don't all religions have those traditions? Isn't that like what religion is for?
Well, how to be good neighbors and
Yeah, how to be good humans and
they've
good
all got
neighbors.
ideas on it.
Yeah, I mean,
Very
like,
specific ones.
yeah, and often contradictory. But I just love the way they're like, after thousands of years of all this religion, we still have no idea. Let's hope this atheist can come in and instruct us on how to be good people. So it's just absolutely baffling to me, and there is a lot here that actually undermines all of the claims of religion. Like, inspired by God? Probably not. Sorry. I'm an atheist. I don't know why I'm defending religion, but the attacks on it...
it's the thing of like, well, if they don't exist, like the Christians aren't a thing that we can define and exist, well, how the hell do we even have a disagreement with them,
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's the further assault on barriers and boundaries that I'm sick of seeing.
It's like the progressive Islam you see popping up in the UK.
Yes.
It's like, you know what a real Muslim is?
Yeah.
Not a Muslim.
Yes.
Right, okay.
A real Muslim supports trans rights.
Or that Sharia has nothing to do with Islam.
Yes.
No, then Islam doesn't exist, you moron.
Yes. And why is it that it had to come to the West to discover this? Yeah. Why wasn't that discovered in the heartland of Islam?
Why does no other Muslim country agree with you?
Yeah. Really makes you think, doesn't it? Anyway, so at least there was some pushback on this from Christians outside of Harvard. Before we get to that. So in a 2009 interview with Harvard Gazette, Epstein recalled his time as a graduate student of Harvard Divinity School. An atheist went to Harvard Divinity School. He remembered reading about most of the world's major religions, but nothing on humanism. Because humanism wasn't considered a religion.
I suppose it is now.
Why not? What are we going to do to differentiate it from being a religion? I mean, what is there? It just seems, okay, well, fine, humanism is now a religion. So, social justice, secularism, these are now religious positions. These are, like, before, I would make the argument, like, being an atheist is actually not a religious position. It's a lack of religion, right? And so, I just don't have an opinion on it or don't care. But now it's like, no, that isn't in and of itself a positive religious vision. It's absurd. But anyway, the belief that human needs and values are of prime importance, which is what they claim humanism is. But the thing is, when has anyone said that human needs and values are not of prime importance? All the religions are concerned about these things. When he questioned the professor about the void of literature on humanism, she encouraged him to write his own book on the topic. And so, this is how he got into it, basically. We don't look to God for answers, we are each other's answers. So religious people don't look to God for answers. This is Chief Chaplain of Harvard University. Just saying, again, I'm not someone who can preach to the religious on how to do their religions, but maybe, just maybe, this isn't the way. This is not it. Anyway, so there was some kickback by some Christians, which is good. Tweet from the president of Colorado Christian University, Don Sweeting, said, "So much for truth in Christ and the church." Good point. And there were a few others. Former NFL tight end and outspoken Christian Benjamin Watson posted Psalm 14:1. "The fool says in his heart there is no God." Just actually kind of tepid, to be honest. I kind of wanted the Christians to go blazing at this. What do you mean? The chief chaplain of Harvard, a religion founded by Puritan Christians, is now an atheist. I just find it gross. I know it's not like, oh, that's not the world's greatest song. No, maybe not. But I think it's indicative of a larger cultural rot that's at the heart of the West. It's not about like the losing of religion. It's about the losing of authenticity.
Yeah, I mean, we have this with the Church of England.
Yes, we do.
I mean, it's always been a bit of a meme in England for people who don't know that. Well, if you want to be religious but you don't believe in God, join the church. Like that's the joke. And I mean, you have this popping up occasionally as well when there was a discussion about Matt Hancock, who had an affair. And this was during lockdown, and so there were two breaches. There was one, he's broken his vow with his wife, and number two, he's broken the restrictions on meeting people
that
outside
he was
your bubble.
imposing.
Yeah. And some bishop of the Church of England went on the BBC to complain about him breaking the rules, and then literally said, "I don't so much care about the adultery than the breaking of the rules." And I was like, right, you're a bishop.
You can't make moral prescriptions against adultery as a bishop.
You're not a Christian. I'm sorry. Like that man is an empty vessel for Christianity. And again, not a Christian, so what do I give a toss? But it's just so fake.
Exactly. And that really is the essence of it. And this is how I've managed to sort of like find friends in faith communities. It's not that I'm particularly interested
At least
in
they're
faith.
authentic.
Well, that's the point. At least they are authentically what they claim to be.
Yeah.
Rather than like, the Pope kissing the feet of Muslims and saying that gays are fine. It's like, sorry, look, I don't agree with the Catholic position, but I'm not the Pope, and I shouldn't be the Pope, and like you said, the Church of England being like so empty of moral instruction, whether you agree with it or not, at least they were the thing that they claimed to be. But
the bishops can't even say that the Ten Commandments are something that guides them. Because you said, I don't care so much about the adultery. Like, right,
God does, yeah.
Fine, okay, whatever then. The church doesn't care about the Ten Commandments. Right.
It's just so ridiculous. So anyway, that's all I had to say on that. But it just really bothers me, and again, is just indicative of the complete collapse of the moral underpinnings of our civilization.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can go to prelotuseaters.com and get access to all our premium content.
Things like our book club, where we examine classics like Aldous Huxley's Brave New World and examine the themes that underpin it, and how we're getting worryingly close to that, or modern books like Mark Sidwell's The Long March, which is how exactly we ended up in the current cultural situation we're in and what conservatives can do about it. Or you can check out the other series we have, such as our Contemplation series, where Hugo and Josh decided to, in the latest one, have a look at an examination on the ways that other elections have been rigged for no reason at all. Or you can check out our Epoch series, which is one of my personal favorites because this is where I get to talk about history. And I love talking about just random things from history. And one of the great things we can do with this series is talk about those things that aren't so often discussed. So, I mean, you can talk about Xerxes' army, the vast army that invaded Greece during the Greco-Persian Wars. Or we can go through things like Herodotus' view on the Scythians. Who are they? You probably don't know, but they used to be quite an important people a long time ago, and they're very, very interesting. We've got some really good reports about them. Or we've got premium podcasts, which is things we generally don't want to put outside of the paywall because we might get in trouble from, such as the list of things that Alex Jones was right about. Or we do just very interesting discussions because there are things that we do lots of work on. Another one is that I'm particularly proud of is where Christopher Hitchens, the famous new atheist, would have fallen during the modern culture wars, because he probably wouldn't have been very woke. But we also have lots of interviews and articles and other things on the website that you can sign up to enjoy, and we're really proud of them.
So if any of that sounds good to you, go over to lotuseaters.com and sign up for as little as £5 a month to support us keep the show going, and also to get access to all the content. Thank you and goodbye.